US President Joe Biden has held a virtual meeting with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The White House called it a constructive, direct conversation. The US is seeking more help from India to apply economic pressure on Russia. Nathan King has more from the White House.
Narendra Modi in his video call with Joe Biden and his team essentially saying that the US and India are natural allies, but when it comes to the overshadowing crisis over Ukraine, well, they are anything but. As you know, India has close relations with Moscow when it comes to defense, when it comes to food and food supplies, and also when it comes to oil. And while Narendra Modi expressed his horror of the humanitarian situation, he has abstained on many votes when it comes to Russia's stance, both in the UN Security Council as a non-permanent member and also in the General Assembly, and when it came to the Human Rights Council expulsion vote as well. So while he said that he has tried to act as a go-between between Volodymyr Zelensky and President Putin, he very much saying that he wants the war to end, but doesn't give any indication of giving into US pressure when it comes to sanctions. Let's take a listen.
During this entire process, I spoke several times on the phone to the presidents of both Ukraine and Russia. I not only appealed for peace, but also suggested that there be direct talks between President Putin and the president of Ukraine.
Joe Biden, the US president, called India's position somewhat shaky when it comes to adhering to Western imposed sanctions. Remember, these are not UN sanctions. They are not internationally binding. And eyebrows were raised here in Washington when India purchased 13 million barrels of oil within the first few weeks of the crisis. They normally purchase in a whole year. Well, last year, 16 million barrels. They took advantage of what was reported to be a 20% discount. And the US very much saying, look, you only get about 2% of your energy supplies from Russia. We can basically help fill that gap. The talks were called by the White House constructive, and also other words were used like candid exchange, which means less friendly in terms. But it's a very important time because after this virtual call, the 2+2 ministerial happened, which is the defense ministers of both the US and India and the foreign secretaries here in Washington for talks as well. But India has long had a neutral and non-aligned foreign policy going back to the 1950s since its independence, and that runs very strong in the country. So these are very precarious times between Washington and New Delhi, Ukraine, especially as they try to expand their relationship diplomatically, strategically, economically and otherwise. Nathan King, CGTN at the White House.